Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. The Disney hostile takeover is going scorched earth. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. This situation is turning into Disney versus their investors. Some investors are cool with Disney. Some investors are not so cool with Disney. Nelson Peltz is one of the investors that's not so cool with Disney and wants to be placed on Disney's board of directors. He has a lot of experience being on the board of directors of very big, important companies. He controls a few $1 billion worth of invested stock in Disney, and he wants to have a say. Disney does not want him there. From the Financial Times, which is like the UK version of the Wall Street Journal, Disney criticizes Nelson Peltz as it rejects activist board nominees. From Hedge Week, this is for fancy schmancy hedge fund investors, activist Nelson Peltz lacking a single strategic idea, according to Disney. Well, he's not lacking any strategic ideas anymore because literally just today, Nelson Peltz has stated his case for joining the Disney board. This is from Alex Sherman. You can follow him on Twitter. He has a lot of great contacts over at Disney. From Bloomberg, one of the problems that Disney has with Nelson Peltz supposedly is that he doesn't have experience in media industries. He has a lot of experience in marketing and manufacturing companies, but not necessarily a media company like Disney. But according to Bloomberg, Disney just hired a new chief financial officer who used to work at Pepsi, who has no experience with media either. Coming from Bloomberg, Disney's new CFO has experience with Nelson Peltz, but not media. So why did Disney hire this chief financial officer? It looks like because this chief financial officer helped to fight off Nelson Peltz when he was trying to get Pepsi to pay more attention to their stockholders and make some smart financial moves. Disney has gone far out of their way to try to stop investors from holding them accountable. It's really gotten to the point of ridiculous. Really, all Nelson Peltz is asking for is to participate as a multi-billionaire investor in Disney's company by sitting on the board. That's a very normal thing, but Bob Iger refuses to allow it. Today, this was their plan, and we'll go through it in detail. Trian, which is Nelson Peltz's company, files preliminary proxy statement for Disney's 2024 annual meeting. And this is where he announces plans, and he announces who he thinks should be on the board of directors of Disney. As a major stockholder, he has a right to do this filing and say what he thinks of what's going on at Disney and who should be on their board. Coming from the Financial Times, Disney criticizes Nelson Peltz as it rejects activist board nominees. Walt Disney blasted activist Nelson Peltz in a proxy filing on Tuesday, saying he had not presented a single strategic idea to the company during 2 years of campaigning for a seat on its board. Peltz, co-founder of the Trian Partners hedge fund, is waging a proxy fight to gain board seats for himself and former Disney Chief Financial Officer Jay Rasulo. Jay Rasulo had actually been the Chief Financial Officer at Disney and had been with Disney for a couple of decades. He's on the side of Nelson Peltz and the investors. He agrees that Disney needs significant changes to make it effective again, to make it a good company again. Of course, this is what Disney is resisting. Disney did not endorse either for election to the board. Disney does not want their old CFO on the board of directors, and they don't want Nelson Peltz on the board of directors. In its filing, Disney said Peltz and Ike Perlmutter, a large shareholder in the company and former chair of Marvel Entertainment, had tried 24 times to win a seat on the board for Peltz. Trian and Peltz abandoned an earlier proxy fight in February last year. Ike Perlmutter is the guy, also known as Ike, who was the majority shareholder of Marvel and agreed to sell Marvel to Disney so that Marvel could have the best possible future. And now he's very disappointed to see what Marvel has turned into and what Disney has turned into. Disney's filing accused Ike Perlmutter as having a fraught relationship between him and Bob Iger, trying to demonize Ike Perlmutter even though he's a stockholder of Disney stock. When they made the deal to sell Marvel to Disney, a large portion of the compensation that Ike Perlmutter got was Disney stock. So of course he's interested in seeing the stock going up in value. Iger, who fired Perlmutter in 2023 after years of tension between the two men, asked Peltz in a November phone call if he knew Perlmutter's objective in pursuing board changes. Peltz did not engage with Iger on the subject of Perlmutter's motivations, the filing said. Trian declined to comment on Disney's preliminary proxy filing, though of course now they've filed their response. Ike Perlmutter became a large Disney shareholder after selling Marvel to the company and has pledged his shares to Trian, Peltz's company, as it pursues its proxy battle for control. Ike Perlmutter's stake is worth about $2.4 billion according to the Financial Times. So you can see why he's a little concerned with the value of the stock. The stock is down more than 50% from its high, and Ike Perlmutter would like the rest of his couple of $1 billion if he could possibly get it. That seems reasonable. The secretive billionaire's tenure at Disney was marked by controversy, including clashes with Iger and colleagues. Disney noted in its filing that Perlmutter had been a staunch supporter of Rasulo, who had been chief financial officer of the company but resigned after he was passed over for the role of chief operating officer. Perlmutter, who has definitely seen The Godfather, reportedly told Iger, "You broke my heart," when he learned that Rasulo was not being considered as a potential successor to the chief executive, Iger himself. Rasulo left Disney in 2015 and has not held an executive role at the public company since then. Disney said its board cited Rasulo's close relationship with Perlmutter as one of the reasons for not recommending him for election as a director, calling it a significant concern. Perlmutter is not there to blow up the company. All Perlmutter wants to see is perhaps an improving value in the stock. One of the big disputes between Ike Perlmutter and Disney was that Disney said, "Inclusive. We've got to make Marvel inclusive. You need more black superheroes. You need Asian superheroes. You need women superheroes. What are you doing at Marvel? Why don't you have this? It's just so easy." What Ike Perlmutter tried to explain to Marvel's management is that you can't make superheroes that won't sell toys for two reasons. One, because then it's not nearly as profitable. Licensing, toys, merchandise, things that represent the property that you see on screen, if people don't want to buy that and own it and keep it forever, it's not a good project. Secondly, all Marvel can do is what it can do. It has to be on brand. You can't just say, "I want to take somebody's grandma and make them a superhero," or say, "Hey, we need more children's superheroes. Let's make children's superheroes." Like, you can try to make those things, but you don't know that the consumers will accept it just because you put a Marvel label on it. That doesn't work. Kevin Feige has said in interviews he thinks Marvel can do anything because you can just put the Marvel label on it. And that's the problem that they've had. That is where Ike Perlmutter fought with Kevin Feige, where Ike Perlmutter fought with Bob Iger, and where ultimately, because he didn't have ownership and he didn't have control, Ike Perlmutter lost that battle. Now he's sitting with over $2 billion worth of Disney stock that should be worth at least $4 or $5 billion based on the trajectory of the company over the last few years. Ike Perlmutter is not a young man. He's not going to cash in that stock and enjoy it for himself. All he wants to be able to do is to finance cancer research after he's passed away. That's what he's trying to do. So he doesn't want to lose $2 or maybe $3 billion worth of additional value just because Disney insists on going woke with all of their brands, even though it's completely against what consumers want. That is the dispute. That, in addition to a kind of careless focus on expenses at the company and their lack of strategic planning. Even what Disney is doing in streaming right now is essentially just copying what Warner Bros. Discovery has been doing. It's as if the company is on autopilot, and it should not be that way. There are very well-paid managers at Disney that know business and know how to properly pursue business, but are just not doing their jobs. And here's how unreasonable Disney is being. Quote, "Perlmutter's sponsorship of Jay Rasulo, former CFO, as a CEO successor would likely inhibit Rasulo's ability to work constructively with Bob Iger and other executives at the company with whom Perlmutter has clashed." And Perlmutter was recommending Rasulo as CEO years ago, not recently. In November, Disney named 2 new directors, former Morgan Stanley chair and chief executive James Gorman and Sir Jeremy DeRoche, former group chief executive of Sky, to its board. Recently, Disney won the support of investor Value Act Capital, and to get this company Value Act Capital on their side, they agreed to pay them a fee as a consultant to Disney, so they're getting paid for their support. So Nelson Peltz was able to state his case today. He was on CNBC, and here's what he had to say. Activist investor Nelson Peltz is stating his case for joining Disney's board. Peltz's Trian Fund Management, that's his company, informally nominating Peltz and former Disney Chief Financial Officer Jay Rasulo to the media giant's board of directors Thursday, made a list of initiatives and performance targets they'd pursue if elected. In a proxy filing, so it's a public statement available to the Securities and Exchange Commission and all investors and people like us, we're going to go through it, Peltz and Rasulo promised to finally complete a successful CEO succession, alluding to CEO Bob Iger's consistent delaying of his retirement date and his return after the firing and failure of former CEO Bob Chapek. And Bob Chapek was a good businessman, but he had absolutely no finesse, no way of actually managing and handling stockholders, communicating with executives. He really never had full control of the company. Part of that was the fault of Bob Iger still interfering with him, but a big part of it was Bob Chapek was really never suited to be CEO of a public company like this. Certainly not one the size of Disney. Trian also said it will align management pay with performance, calling out Iger's $31.6 million pay package last year, while Disney's stock value was little changed, underperforming the Standard & Poor's 500 for 2023. Trian also aims to target and achieve Netflix-like margins of 15 to 20% by 2027, with Peltz adding that he thinks Netflix is Disney's biggest competition. And when they say margins of 15 to 20%, they mean profit margins on gross sales. So if Disney takes in, for example, $100 billion, they want to see 15 to 20% of that be profit. $15 to $20 billion. The proxy battle comes as Iger tries to streamline the sprawling media company to rein in spending and make its Disney Plus streaming platform profitable. Iger has already instituted broad restructuring, including thousands of layoffs. Peltz reiterated in a CNBC Squawk Box interview that he believes Disney's current board oversight is awful. Quote, they said I have no media experience. I don't claim to have any, Peltz said Thursday. But I will tell you, I don't think they have much media experience. Disney has thus far rejected Peltz's push to join the board. In the proxy filing, Peltz also touched on the future of ESPN, which he called the crown jewel of the company, with the goal of creating a solidified and detailed payback period and business plan for building out the platform. Iger had previously said Disney is prioritizing turning ESPN into the preeminent digital sports platform. Peltz called for a board-level review of studio creativity to restore leadership and accountability and reclaim the company's leading box office position. Peltz and Rasulo aim to execute a clear vision for the brand's theme parks, targeting high single-digit operating income growth. Peltz told CNBC on Thursday that he paid a visit to Disney World last week. Quote, it was fascinating because we didn't have any special passes. We didn't have any tour guides. Everything was nice. I mean, Magic Kingdom and the Hollywood studios. Terrific, he said. All the employees were smiling, and that's probably in large part because they didn't own any Disney stock. Yes, he slammed Disney that hard. And today, Nelson Peltz's company, Trian, filed a preliminary proxy statement for Disney's 2024 annual meeting. This is their plan. This is what they say they can do. Trian Fund Management, which beneficially owns $3 billion worth of common stock in the Disney company, today filed a preliminary proxy statement with the Securities and Exchange Commission in connection with its nomination of Nelson Peltz and James Rasulo for election to the Disney Board of Directors at the company's 2024 annual meeting of shareholders. Quote, it is unfortunate that a company as iconic as Disney and with so many challenges and opportunities has refused to seriously engage with us, its largest active share owner, about board representation. Instead of having a boardroom that would include directors with an ownership mentality that can bring fresh perspectives to the company's challenges, Disney is resisting change and asking shareholders to endorse a board comprised mainly of legacy directors, so directors who have already been there a long time, and their hand-picked successors who have repeatedly failed to properly plan for CEO succession, misalign the incentives of management, and failed to oversee or drive a strategy to get the streaming business to profitability or the studios to produce good content. Are Disney shareholders really to believe the current board of directors is able to heal these self-inflicted wounds? This is probably the most substantial argument that the Nelson Peltz people are making. The succession of a CEO is very important at a company. Every public company really should have a succession plan for their current CEO to leave and for a new CEO to come in. Even with a young CEO, even if the founder of that company was the CEO, it's really not appropriate for a big public company or even a small public company to not be able to say, this is who would take over if our current CEO would leave. And in particular, Disney really has no excuse because they already failed once when Bob Iger left and put in Bob Chapek, who essentially had to be forced out of the company over the course of a stressful weekend. If the board of directors does not know who should be CEO to replace Bob Iger, it shows there's some serious problems with management and with the board of directors. It's not just a Disney thing, it's for all public companies. So far, we haven't seen any legitimate explanation for this. Peltz continues, we respectfully believe the answer to that question is no, and we will seek the support of shareholders for meaningful change in the board's composition. It's time to restore the magic at Disney. Despite Disney's unrivaled scale, the unparalleled customer loyalty, irreplaceable intellectual property, and an enviable commercial flywheel, Disney's total shareholder return is significantly lower than its peers and the broader market over every relevant period during the last decade, and over the tenure of each non-management director. When they talk about Disney's commercial flywheel, they talk about Disney's ability to create a successful movie or television show, cartoon character, and then to offer it in multiple formats, including at theme parks, including through its broadcast networks, as licensable merchandise, in the case of Marvel, as part of a universe, and then be able to spin off other versions of that character, to take a cartoon series that was already proven, and then create a live action version of it. What Disney has is not easy for anybody to replicate. But even so, Disney has ruined many of their brands. Trian believes this underperformance is the result of a board that has failed to adequately perform its primary responsibilities as stewards of shareholder capital. Trian has therefore nominated 2 candidates for the Disney board, Nelson Peltz and Rasulo, each of whom has significant consumer brand expertise, financial acumen, and a shareholder-first mindset. That's different from Disney's stakeholder-first mindset, which includes pushing a political agenda. Mr. Peltz is the CEO of Trian, Disney's largest active shareholder. Mr. Rasulo is Disney's former chief financial officer and was chairman of Disney's Parks and Resorts worldwide. Peltz and Rasulo believe the role of the board is to set achievable but ambitious goals and to challenge the executive team to develop a detailed strategy and plan of execution for achieving these goals. A major problem at Disney, in Trian's view, is that goals have been amorphous and execution poor. Put very simply, Trian intends to work with the board to help drive Disney's outperformance with tangible targets, goals, and true accountability. But we will have much more to say about these goals and the initiatives necessary to achieve them when we release our full presentation to shareholders. But to be clear, Disney needs to again be the beacon of strategic clarity and exceptional execution it once was. No Disney shareholder should be content with the current strategic muddle or have to endure failed execution without accountability. The board of directors is not there to execute on strategy. The board of directors is there to discuss and to approve strategy. Managers like Bob Iger are supposed to go out and execute on the strategy. They're the ones that are there day to day. They're the ones that are interacting with other managers at Disney. The board of directors is responsible for pushing the managers to perform. Rasulo added, quote, Nelson and I are not about strategic platitudes or soft goals. As Disney board members, we would expect to help drive Disney's financial performance by working with other board members to set demanding but realistic goals to which executive compensation will be tied. So you achieve the goal, you get the bonus. If you're a manager at Disney, even if you're the CEO of Disney and you don't accomplish an ambitious goal that's good for shareholders and everyone else involved with Disney, then you're not going to get the bonuses. And you may not stay as one of the managers. A board that Rasulo and Nelson Peltz is on will provide rigorous oversight to help ensure accountability for operational execution and capital allocation. Capital allocation is how the company chooses to spend money that's owned by the investors. It's all about the board of directors holding the executives accountable. Disney was founded and built by owners. We believe restoring the magic at Disney starts with a focused, aligned, and accountable board, intensely committed to returning an ownership mentality to the boardroom. That and a heavy dose of best-in-class corporate governance is the medicine Disney needs to fix its aligning shareholder returns. These investors, Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter are interested in holding Disney's managers accountable for results and for having a very specific strategic plan in all the important areas of their business to make the business successful, and particularly to make it successful for its owners, its shareholders. If Peltz keeps on pushing, we're going to see results. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.